Samantha Skelly is the founder and creator of Pause Breathwork. She's an award-winning speaker, author, entrepreneur, and podcaster. Welcome to the show, Samantha.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited to have you on. Tell us about your personal lives, more about your work, and why you do what you do.
So, I love to have fun. I love to create things. And growing up as a dancer and a child actress, I've always been I've been in love with creativity and performance, and specifically the intersection of both of those things. And so I've really, chased those things my whole life. And then I found the beautiful world of business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a place where I can just like pour my creativity into. I can help a ton of people and I can have fun and still like honor the part of me that loves to perform. I'm like, what a great thing. And so about 15 years ago, I was in Bali and I found breathwork. Breathwork changed my life in so many ways. It helped me realize that we are all our own drug and we have the capacity to heal our nervous systems, to feel alive, feel inspired, feel excited. And it brought me to this place of just extreme joy and alignment. And I never thought that I would start a breathwork company, but 8 years after just being a student of breathwork, I just thought, wow, the world needs to breathe. Like we need to breathe. We need to breathe more. We need to realize that we are our own drug. We need to realize that we have the ability to regulate our nervous system through our breath. And so I started Pause in 2017, and we're now one of the largest breathwork companies worldwide and have trained thousands of people in our method. The main thing that we do is we train people to become breathwork facilitators, and then we also have a breathwork app.
What a crazy life we're living.
I know it's wild, right? It's a wild, I sell oxygen. It's great.
And so I work with money, and just because people deal with money every day doesn't mean they have any idea how to effectively use it. I breathe every day, Samantha, but that probably doesn't mean that I know anything about the potential of
Mm,
of harnessing my breath.
yeah. Yeah. So oftentimes we're all just breathing to survive. And what we teach at Pause Breathwork is how do we actually breathe to thrive? How do we use our breath to heal our trauma, clear our pain, clear our suffering, tap into these beautiful energies that we all desire to be in, right? It's like, why do people want to make a lot of money? They want to make a lot of money because they want to feel free. They want to feel peaceful, right? Well, what if we could use breath in order to activate those energies? Every single emotional state is connected to a breath pattern, right? How do we breathe when we're anxious? It's like all up in our chest and it's quick and it's rapid and it's irregular, right? Like, right? How do we breathe when we're on vacation? We're super relaxed, like, well, we can change the mechanics of the breath in order to manipulate our energetic state to actually begin to feel these things that we desire to feel, right? And so the breath allows us, there's breathing, like I said, breathing to survive, which is just, not really paying attention to it, but then realizing that we could actually intentionally, consciously breathe in order to bring ourselves into deeper states of joy, peace, love, liberation, connection. And that's what so many of us have forgotten over the years.
I think everybody who's listening will certainly identify with what you just said, that sh quick, shallow breathing of when I'm super stressed or I'm pissed,
Yeah.
or when I'm on the beach and I'm just staring at the ocean. I don't breathe like that at all.
Totally. Right? Yeah. And so we can actually change the way that we feel. Oftentimes we live in a world where it's like, let me change the external so that I can feel better. Right? That's kind of how we're all designed, right? Let me change this. But with breath work, it's like the complete opposite of like, let me change my internal environment. Let me change the energy that's existing within my body so that my reality looks different, right? Our whole life is just a hologram, right? It's a hologram of our beliefs, it's a hologram of our energy, it's a hologram of our identities. And so when we can change the inside, it gives us a completely new reality, right? Oftentimes people are like, I want to make a crap load of money because I want to feel free. Well, what if you could feel free first and then go make a crap load of money? Because that will feel that will be amazing as well, but don't do it in order to feel free. That's how we get trapped in or caught in this destination addiction, right? If I need more, I need more, I need more, I need a bigger bank account, I need to buy more Bitcoin, I need a bigger house, I need big, more, 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 more. It's like, well, growth for the sake of growth is cancer. So why don't we figure out what is that enough place and let's get there. And so that we're not operating from this place of lack and limitation every single day.
Ooh, destination addiction, growth for the sake of growth is cancer. These are powerful terms, sayings, combination of words that I really like a lot. And I think a lot about how it's like once I achieve this thing, then I'm going to start feeling a certain way,
Mm,
but it's just so backwards.
that's so backwards.
And we have access to, or it's we all have access to the ability to use breath as a tool that will get us to the frame of mind or the feeling and both that
Mm-hmm.
will then
Mm-hmm.
that position us to get whatever actual thing that we think that we want.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly. And so it's like when we think about it, right? What are those things that we want in our life? We want a really beautiful relationship, right? We want a lot of money. We want a great job. We want to be able to travel. We want to be so what is the feeling that those things bring to us? Or what do we think it's going to bring to us? Because it doesn't always, right? When we enter into the relationship, it's not always full of like joy and bliss and amazing. Like there's also, but what do we think the feeling is going to be? And how can we focus energetically on feeling that feeling first through focus, through breath work, through visualization? And how can we flood our bodies full of that felt sense of freedom, that felt sense of peace, that felt sense of just like goodness? And then we're operating not from a place of lack of how do I perform to get that feeling, but we're operating from a place of abundance. And then the things that we do choose to chase in life is not coming from this place of deficit. It's coming from a place of overflow, and that's a completely different way of living.
That is totally different. I wrote down having versus possessing because I think that that's what you said.
Mm.
And yeah, we all have these ideas of once I get that thing, that relationship, that car, the job, the money, then I'm gonna feel a certain way. Or I think that we all can relate and experience, but it's going back to that we're sort of twisting it around. Why not start feeling that way? And isn't we're essentially chasing that feeling because that's why
Mm-hmm.
we do everything is how we feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're motivated by emotion. So if we can just reverse engineer it, then we can feel that way first. Doesn't mean we're not going to have ambitions and chase things, but we're going
Right.
to do it and it's going to feel better. It's going to feel more alive. It's going to feel more exciting. It's going to feel more connected. You know, if I'm already feeling whole, aligned, free, peace, full of love, I'm still going to have the energy to build businesses and make money and drive nice cars, but I'm not going to be doing it because I don't think I'm good enough. I'm going to be doing it because I'm like, man, life is so great and these things exist. Why not me? And so the energy behind it, it's going to be so much different.
So it's more of fundamentally it's not I'm not pursuing these things because I'm deficient or in a position of lack. That's maybe my current state, but the
Sure.
potential is that by going through this and understanding how my breathing, breath work can alter my feelings, my state, I do that. And then I'm still pursuing those things that I want, but it's for different reasons. It's not because I'm
Exactly.
trying to fill some hole that's inside of myself.
Exactly. Exactly. You got it. And when we do that, then we radiate a different energy. There's an aliveness, there's a magnetism. And in my experience, money is attracted to joy. Money is attracted to energy, right? It's like in my business, the happier I am, the more playful I am, the more joyful I am, things just work out. You know, things are just working out. But if I'm like stressing out or I'm in scarcity or I'm in self doubt or whatever it is, like everything kind of contracts. So, how do we intentionally get ourselves into these energies? Well, breath work and focus and really asking ourselves, like, How do I want to feel? And claiming that in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, I set the energy for my day. I'm like, how do I want to feel today? Maybe it's joyful, maybe it's connected, maybe it's present, maybe it's loving, maybe it's confidence, whatever it is. And how can I use my breath and how can I breathe in? So say it's confidence, right? Two breaths in, one out. Like breathing in that feeling of confidence. We all know it. We've all felt that once in our life, hopefully. And then we're breathing out anything that's not aligned with that feeling of confidence. And so we're setting the energy for the day and we're allowing ourselves to sink into that feeling first thing in the morning.
So I want to talk a lot about how to actually do it
Yeah,
and that thing, but I also just wanted to really circle back on how true it is that I don't think that any of us are attractive to anything else, be it a romantic partner, success, money, when because we can all see somebody or know somebody who is not attractive because they've got a crappy attitude or they feel like they're deficient or not enough or
totally.
whatever.
Totally.
So that makes all the sense in the world. And why wouldn't money and success be any different? So
Hmm.
I totally agree with that. So okay, so let me ask the question I should have asked before, which is how does it work?
How does it work? How do I do it?
Yes, tell
All
me how to
right.
do it.
So there's different breath patterns for different outcomes, right? So if you want to feel energized, that's a different breath pattern than if you want to feel grounded and relaxed. And so let's start, I'll give you both. So the breath pattern, if you're feeling sluggish, if you're feeling like, oh, I need another cup of coffee or whatever, I love doing this breath pattern. It's called the triactive breath. So take your left hand, place it on your belly, and your right hand on your chest. And we breathe into the belly through the mouth first, up into the chest, out through the mouth. So it sounds like this. Making sure that that exhale is longer than the inhale. So when that exhale is longer than the inhale, we're stimulating our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. We're adding more energy into our body and we're just feeling this sense of just aliveness. If we want to feel relaxed, so if you have anxiety, probably don't do that one because it might make you feel more anxious because it's more energizing, right? If you have anxiety, the best one to do is in through the nose, all the way up, and just let the exhale fall out of your mouth. Don't force it like the first one, and just allow that exhale again to be longer than the inhale. That will allow your body to downregulate and let your system know that you're safe and you're not going to be attacked and you're not, everything's okay. And so those are two different types of breaths to really, depending on the outcome. Breathwork has this interesting point around 8 minutes where 0 to 8, you're kind of in your conscious mind. You still sort of know what's going on. But if you pass that 8 minute mark, because what we're doing is we're stimulating the amygdala, which is the center for our emotional control and our survival strategies, it sort of mitigates our survival strategies and allows us to go into sort of an altered state of consciousness. That's when we can really do some of like that deep healing on our body, releasing trauma, letting go of stories, letting go of identities, and we can really shift our perception of reality. And so for people who are experienced breath workers, definitely like try more than 8 minutes and just see how that feels. If you're just starting out, start under 8 minutes.
Got it. And so I'll just use language. It's different tactics, different techniques.
Yep, yep.
You mentioned so it's probably breaths coming from your belly, your chest, breathing in, breathing out, the like when and how long I'm holding it. So it's probably a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And it all comes back to like what's the outcome?
Okay.
Right? What's the outcome? Do you want to go on, do you just want to relax? Okay, well, just do some deep breathing for under 8 minutes. Do you want to go on a journey where you're healing some deeper wounds? Lie down and do it a little longer. So the way that we've set up the Breathwork app, the Pause app, is anywhere from 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 25 minutes, 45 minutes. So depending on what it is that you want, there's different tracks for every experience. But it's really about asking yourself, how do I want to feel at the end of this? And then choosing the breath pattern, whether it's an energizing one or a grounding one.
Strikes me that you maybe chose a field that apps are perfectly designed for. So I don't necessarily need to know how to do this. I just need to be able to follow along,
Exactly. You can just press play and I got you.
which is awesome.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And certainly I'll learn how to do it on my own, but unless I'm without my phone, but then I'll certainly learn how to do it. So that's a pretty incredible thing.
Hmm.
How many different journeys, for lack of a better term, do you use or incorporate?
On the app, there's hundreds of different tracks on the app, but there's a lot of things that influence the breath experience, right? So the breath pattern has an impact on the outcome, right? On the journey. The duration, right? If we're breathing for 3 minutes, it's gonna be very different than if we're breathing for 3 hours, right? My very first breathwork session, I was in Bali and I had no idea what breathwork was. I just like walked into this class and it was a 3 hour breathwork class, and I was like, what just happened to me? I was like so blown out of my body, but it was divinely happened because I probably wouldn't be here right now if that didn't happen. So duration, and then music, right? There's a huge difference between like really soft meditative music and like tribal beats, right? That's going to have an impact on the journey as well. The energy in the space is going to have an impact on the journey. The intention going into the breathwork session is going to have an impact on the journey. So just depending on what you want, what you're after, and the outcome, there's so many different ways that you can do it.
Do most people breathe enough? Do we have enough oxygen in our bodies? Is that knowable?
No. Yeah, our like lung capacity is directly related to so many health concerns, primarily longevity, right? And so we're using like 12% of our lung capacity on any, we're such shallow breathers. No one really takes deep breaths, right? I do it all day long, and sometimes when I'm in public and I'm like, ah, people are like, "What's wrong?" Because sometimes we're only taking deep breaths when we're like stressed out. But the more that we can increase our lung capacity, it has such incredible health benefits. And I mean, there's emotional health benefits, obviously, and there's, calming down our nervous system, releasing stress, releasing fear, all of that kind of stuff. But then there's very clear physical benefits to doing breath work as well. A lot of breath work is done with, Navy SEALs and things like that to help calm down their nervous system so they have like precision in their performance. And a lot of other sports use breath work a lot for performance. But then there's, emotional reasons to do it, physical reasons to do it as well. It's a beautiful practice. And we just don't breathe enough.
Is it possible to trace it back? Like, what's the earliest uses of breath work? Probably really, really, really a long time ago.
Yeah, so it's an ancient modality from the East. There's a practice called Tumo, which the Tibetan Buddhists created, and it was all like belly breathing, like, and a lot of breath work was used to stay warm, actually, which is, breath of fire, all that kind of stuff, where that came from, is like to keep the body warm. And then they began to realize, like, oh, wait a second, this has emotional benefits, it has spiritual benefits. A lot of religions use it to connect deeper to God, right? When we're out of our sort of monkey mind and out of our mental mind, we have a deeper connection to, call it God, universe, source, whatever you call that. It helps us connect a lot deeper. And so a lot of times it was used in, spiritual practices and things like that in the East, in the ancient times. There's breathwork is getting popular again. Um, it's I mean, I live in Southern California, so like all like the spiritual, people live here, and so breathwork is super popular here. People in like maybe like Kansas, maybe not so much, but it's having its wave back. It's like 25 years ago, yoga was like the biggest thing ever, right? Everyone started doing yoga. Breathwork is beginning to have a little bit more of that momentum. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's a really, really interesting thing. And uh, I think for better have been really interested in human optimization and how can I get more done. And probably a
Mm-hmm.
byproduct of that is more people are interested in breath work, and that's not necessarily the right reason. Not that there's a wrong reason to get into breath work, but certainly probably introducing it to more people and
Yeah,
people like Wim Hof and
totally.
everything he's doing is probably making its way into more mainstream people outside of the epicenters of
Mm.
wellness, things like that. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. And I know that's something that I've used and use it on a daily basis, just deep breaths and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But what was important about that from my perspective is just that I experience almost a sense of being high when I do some of Wim Hof's breathing. And so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's pretty wild. And I do it for
Mm-hmm.
athletic competition. Because if I
Mm-hmm.
wake up and I do very early and then I'm going to do some kind of competition later in the day,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't do the breath work, then I don't perform as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
as I want.
Yeah. Getting high off your own supply, George. That's what's happening, you know? It's like it's natural DMT. That's why you feel that high, in the body. It's like releasing chemicals in the brain, which is it's shifting our perspective because that high feeling, well, if we think about it, it's like when we drink alcohol, when we do drugs or whatever, it has the same impact of it's quieting down that survival strategy. Right. If the survival strategy is like, don't talk to that girl, right? You have some tequilas and it's like, definitely go talk to that girl, right? So it has that same impact, right? By mitigating the response of the amygdala, which allows us to actually just feel out of our ego, right? When we're out of our ego, we're connecting deeper to our hearts, to our souls, and that's that natural good feeling, and we can use the breath to tap into that.
So what you're saying is the next time I'm nervous about approaching a stranger in a bar, I should just do some really, really deep breathing
Right
instead
in
of
front of
taking a
them.
sh
Make sure you
Yes.
walk right up to them and just start breathing right in front of them, okay? And then talk to them. Yeah.
It's going
That's
to go great.
exactly what. That's exactly. Let me know how it goes. I'm
Okay.
curious. I want that loop to be closed, George,
That,
okay?
that'll be an essential follow-up for sure.
Exactly.
I think all kidding aside, talked about just everything that we're talking about when we're taking a break to do breath work. If it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 hours, we're taking a break. And
Yeah.
what a wonderful gift that is, aside from the benefits that we're going to be receiving from the actual breath work, but
Yeah.
just the pause.
Yeah. It's funny. Before I became an entrepreneur, I worked a lot in restaurants and I was never a smoker, but I was so annoyed when people were allowed to have smoke breaks, right? They would go outside, they would breathe, obviously they were puffing on a cigarette, but they were breathing for 15 minutes and they were out there in the sunshine. And there I was, I couldn't have a smoke break because I wasn't a smoker.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, I said to my manager, I'm like, I want to have a 15-minute break where I just go outside and breathe. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, they're allowed to. And they're like, you're just going to do nothing for 15 minutes and get paid for it? I'm like, they are.
Yes.
So they let me. Like, I would go on these like breath breaks and I would go just sit and take 15 minutes and breathe, and it would be a good time.
Yeah, I think I've certainly had those thoughts as well, and I've been on both sides of that equation as the smoker and the non-smoker. But that's neither here nor there. But it certainly makes sense. Well,
Yeah.
Samantha, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you, and tell us where we can find the Pause app as well?
Definitely. So the best place to get involved in all things pause is on my Instagram at Samantha Skelly. From there, you can find the whole pause world. The app, if you just search Pause Breathwork in the app stores, whether you're on iOS or Android, it's a little orange icon. There's a free 14-day trial, so you can check it out. And yeah, come on by, come to Instagram. Let me know you heard me on the show. I'd love to meet you.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed as much as I did, show Samantha your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. You can find Samantha on Instagram at Samantha Skelly, SamanthasKelly, and then find the Pause Breathwork app in iTunes or the the two app stores that we use. No, I just had a blank on. It's not gonna just find its way back into my brain. It's an orange app and take advantage of that 14-day promo. Check it all out and let Samantha know that you heard about her on the Lifeblood podcast. Thanks again, Samantha.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Till next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.